everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen for today's dessert recipe. I want to show you guys how to make the best classic cream puffs, also known as profiteroles. This classy, easy, delicious recipe is actually one of my personal favorites, and it's just great for any occasion. We're going to get things started with the simple pate dough, which is the base for the cream puffs, and after baking them, we're going to add a pastry cream, whipped cream filling, finish them off with a little bit of chocolate ganache, or you can also dust them with a little bit of confectioner sugar. This easy dessert is great as an everyday dessert, but it's also elegant and special enough for special occasions. For all the ingredients and the instructions, make sure to head on down that video description box and follow a link over to my website where I'm going to have all the information up there for you guys. Meanwhile, let's get started on this recipe. We're going to start things with the pate dough. And before you get started on the dough, you'll want to preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit so it's nice and hot and ready to go. Now, pate choux is a cooked pastry dough that when it's baked, it kind of puffs up and then you have a little hollow center inside to add the filling. So I'm going to preheat a medium-sized saucepan over medium heat. I'm going to add in 1 cup of water. And we'll need half a cup of unsalted butter. Drop this in, and we want to cook this over medium heat until the butter melts and the water and the mixture comes up to a simmer. And once this mixture comes up to a simmer, I'm going to add in a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then we'll add in our flour. So we'll need 1 cup of all-purpose flour. And then just cook this until a dough ball starts to form. And then once this dough kind of pulls together and forms a ball, I'm going to continue cooking it for about 30 seconds. I'm going to remove the dough from the heat, place it into a large mixing bowl. And I like to kind of spread the dough out in the mixing bowl so there's a little bit more surface area, and this way the dough will cool faster. I'm just going to let this hang out at room temperature for about 15 to 20 minutes until it's cooled down and just lukewarm. And while the dough is cooling off on the side, it's the perfect time to prepare for the recipe. I've lined a large baking sheet with some parchment paper. You can also use a silicone mat. And then I've tipped a pastry bag with a simple medium-sized round tip. We're going to use this for piping the dough onto the baking sheet to make the cream puffs. I also brought 4 large eggs up to room temperature. You want to take these out when you start the recipe so you're not using cold eggs for the dough. And it's really important that you allow this dough to cool down until it's just lukewarm. I like to toss it every once in a while so that it cools down evenly. And now we can start adding our eggs. We're going to add in 1 egg at a time. Drop that in. I'm going to use my hand mixer and mix in the egg after each addition. And the dough will have kind of a crumbly texture to start off. But as you start adding more eggs, and especially when you add that last one, it really comes together. Last leg going in. After adding that last egg, just mix until a smooth and elastic dough forms. And now we're ready to transfer this into our pastry bag. And I just prop up my pastry bag in a measuring cup to make it easier. And if you're using parchment paper, I like to add just a little touch of the dough right underneath the edges so that the parchment paper stays in place. And now we're ready to pipe. So you can make these cream puffs as little or as big as you would like them. I'm going to go for a nice medium size today. I'm going to keep the dough kind of like in a nice little dollop on the parchment paper and give a little bit of space in between each little cream puff because these are going to puff up in the oven as they bake. And once you pipe out your cream puffs, just go around and tap down any sharp pointy tips. That way they'll be really nice and pretty when they bake. And then these are ready for the oven. They're gonna bake at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for just the first 10 minutes. And then I'm going to reduce the oven temperature down to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Bake these anywhere from 30-35 minutes until they are a rich golden brown color on the top. I like to just turn on the oven light to double check on the coloring of these. You do not want to open the oven door under any circumstances while these are baking, because any draft of cold air is going to cause the dough to collapse, and then you're going to end up with really dense kind of pancake-like cream puffs. So keep that oven door closed, bake them until they're golden brown. I'm going to come back to show you how to make that pastry cream and whipped cream filling. I just took my profiteroles out of the oven and they look fantastic. I am loving the color on these as well. They're nice, rich, golden brown color. I didn't have a single one collapse today. I'm just gonna let them cool on this baking sheet at room temperature while I make the filling. You can find classic cream puffs filled with a variety of different fillings, the most traditional one being a vanilla pastry cream. This rich and creamy, like pudding-like filling is so great for profiteroles. A variation of this is combining the pastry cream with a little bit of whipped cream to make it lighter and fluffier, and that's the version I'm going to be using today. You can also fill these with just plain whipped cream, maybe add a little bit of fruit in there as well. I'm going to have information for all three filling types up on my website, so make sure to check that out. I've already prepared a batch of my vanilla pastry cream. Now I have a separate video for this pastry cream. It's part of my Back to Cake Basics series. I let this chill in the refrigerator overnight so it's chilled, set, and ready to be used. And now we can start on our filling. I have 2 cups of very well chilled heavy cream in my measuring bowl here. I'm going to add in 3/4 cups of confectioner sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We're going to start this out on a low speed so it doesn't go flying everywhere, and then we'll whisk this for about 4 to 5 minutes until stiff peaks form. Next, I'm going to add in 1.5 cups of this vanilla pastry cream. It's about 2/3 of my original recipe. Again, I'll have all this information up on my website so you guys have all the exact ingredients. And I'll use my mixer on a medium speed to mix this all together. My filling is all done and I've placed it into the refrigerator so it stays nice and chilled while I'm preparing the profiteroles. So I'm going to grab my empty cream puff shells. I'm going to grab a serrated knife and we're going to cut off the top so that way we can fill the inside, and you can see it's hollow on the inside. We could fill this up with the cream. Now another method you could use is you could poke like a hole through the bottom of the cream puff and then fill it from the inside without cutting it open. I prefer this method. Just you can have more cream this way. And then to fill these, all you have to do is just remove the top of the little cream puff shell and add the cream inside. I am finishing up on the second batch of my frosting, and then I'm going to place this entire tray of the cream puffs into the refrigerator, let them chill in there for a couple hours. This is a really great recipe if you want to have like a make-ahead dessert. You can make these the day before and then just keep them refrigerated and garnish them right before serving. Once I have these into the fridge, I'm going to show you guys how to make a really quick chocolate ganache. You can either garnish these just with confectioner sugar right before serving, or you can add a little bit of chocolate on the top. I've measured out a 1/3 cup of heavy cream. I'm going to add in 1 cup of chocolate melts. You can also use chocolate chips. I'm going to take this over to the microwave and cook this, stirring every 30 seconds until I have a smooth mixture. My chocolate is nicely melted. I have a nice smooth ganache. At this point, it's still really hot and it's also on the thinner side. So I'm going to let this sit at room temperature, let it cool down slowly for about 15 to 20 minutes until it's a little bit thicker, and then we'll be able to garnish our cream puffs. And once your chocolate ganache has cooled and thickened a little bit, just grab a spoon and you could drizzle this chocolate over the top. Doesn't that look incredible? And you can also simply dust these with a little bit of powdered sugar on the top. Perfect. These are ready to be enjoyed. And that's it for my classic cream puff tutorial. These turned out incredible. I love the ones with the chocolate on top, and then the confectioner sugar is also very simple and elegant. For the full list of ingredients and the recipe, make sure to head on down in the video description box and follow the link over to my website. You'll find all the information there for the fillings, and then I'm also going to include the recipe with metric measurements. Time to dig in and enjoy. This looks so good. I actually like to split them kind of open so the cream doesn't squeeze out everywhere. Now this cream can be a little bit on the soft side. Now if your cream is a little bit runny, just place it into the refrigerator, let it chill for about an hour, and then re-whisk it again so it has a little bit of thicker consistency. All right, let's try this one. This is perfection. I am loving everything about these cream puffs. They're not too sweet, not too overwhelming, and that filling on the inside is incredible. I love folding the pastry cream in with the whipped cream because it just makes it a little bit lighter, a little bit fluffier, but you still get that rich, creamy vanilla flavor. So good. And don't forget to let these cream puffs set in the refrigerator once you have them assembled. Leave them in there for a couple hours, or you can make them overnight so that cream can set up a little bit and become more firm. You guys are going to love this recipe. These are so good. Just a true classic, delicious cream puff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with a new recipe.